Hey, we're going to spend some time today and change out the forks on this 2021 Commencal Meta. Try to walk you through that and let you see what we're going to go do. Got a few simple tools, some spacers. I know this is not the preferred way. The preferred way would be to use a hacksaw. We're going to try the pipe cutter on shortening up the top tube. We've got our star-fangled nut installer. So this slides in, lets you hammer that down. Which reminds me, I need to bring a mallet out here. Star-fangled nuts. This is I don't know yet what crown race is on this, but this is the crown race installer. And since we're doing this is going to be not a like for like, but a net new. I'm going to put a new stem on as well, so we'll do a new stem. Drop this one, and that's going to mean we're going to pull this tire, remove the brakes, let those brakes hang, take off the top cap, loosen this, make sure we hold this, and we'll pull it out, fit it up, fit the new one up, get it to where we want it, and then take it out, cut it off, put it all back together again. So we'll go through all that, see where we go. First step, let's get this tire off and these brakes free. You know, I forgot one other important piece. We've got some cardboard here. We can use that. Is some cardboard, and you'll see why here in a minute. So those of you who saw my other video, you notice that there's these Ohlins use this floating bolt. We'll loosen that up, and then back this guy out. There's our front tire off. Put that over, out of the way. Now let's go ahead and tackle these. You know, I'm actually going to wait. Let's do this right now before I forget. I'm going to grab a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to double this end over a little bit. We're going to put this in here just in case somebody, including me, grabs a hold of those brakes. Something I recommend almost all the time doing. I know they make plastic tools, take the pads out, all kinds of stuff, but this is just going to make sure I don't, you know, accidentally grab a hold of that. Clamp these all the way down. Quick and easy, little dirty tip. So I'm going to make sure I take these off, and these of course have, I'll bring this up so you guys can see this if you haven't seen these before. We've got a this lets us pivot, so let's make sure we keep these, set these aside, and don't knock those and don't lose how those are. Let me put these back on. And we'll go through self-centering brakes as well. Now this also has a spacer, so let's be mindful of the spacer and which way it goes. So we've got the big end up the top, and then my other bolt. So we'll remember that when we put this back. Again, nice thing is we've got pretty good standards. So let's bring you guys up a little bit. Next step is this cable route. Again, another quick tip on the cable routes. Definitely, I'm a big fan of, even though this is just a piece of plastic, it doesn't seem like it's a huge deal. A little Loctite, right? You do not want this to fall out. Because then you have a tendency to suck this cable into your spokes, or not cable, sorry, showing my age, hydraulic line. So in this case, it's a little blue Loctite on here, and we'll do that same thing when we switch the fork over, just to make sure we don't lose this. Again, we don't pull that hydraulic line into the wheels. So first we're going to loosen this top cap, which tightens everything up. Now it's important when we get into this to remember, when we go to loosen these, we're going to need to be careful that we don't drop that fork. And not that we'll terribly lose everything, but we want to kind of keep this all in order, give us a good starting place for you know, how to put this back together. There's our top cap. I'm trying to do this on camera. Let's get these bars off. Now these are, one of the reasons I'm switching the stem out is I've had these loosen up. Now I don't have any Loctite on these stem bolts, but the new stem, this is a 40 millimeter, I'm moving to a 35. I know it's not a huge difference, but we'll see if that helps the cockpit. All right, so there's the other one out. Let's sort of just lay this out of the way. All right, she's happy. Now, let's go back to, again, I'm going to hold on to the fork, loosen the stem bolt up on this side. Oh, that's what I get for doing this backwards. Lefty-loosey. All right. No, so, well, maybe it is. It is a spacer. It's just really in there. So pull that stem out. All right, so now, in this case, and again, I'm gonna index these. We've got two spacers under this. We're gonna start off close to where we are here. But I am gonna change this. This isn't gonna be straight like for like. I'm not gonna do a straight swap. So now let's see. If I can get her to free up. There we go. Press fit bearings. Slowly, easy, easy. Some nice design there. There we go. Okay, so we're out, and wasn't sure what we were going to be looking at here. We've got use a dull flat blade to get this bottom race up, and then, as I said, I've got a race installation tool. It's kind of cheap, lets you just sort of slam it down. We'll see how she does. Okay, so started here, and you just ease this up. I've got this sort of dull bladed screwdriver, and then if I work around, that wasn't on very tight, started it off camera, but there's that bottom race off. And again, we're going to need to reinstall it. So clean this up, install it on the new fork, put it on, and again, we're going to kind of fit the new fork before we cut it off. Okay, so enduro bike, we're going with the Fox Performance Elite 38. This is the same fork as the factory, but without the cashmere coating. It's all black. The new atmospheric valves here, quick release, big stanchions. So excited to get this on and give her a whirl. All right, so I got this race on, and I've got this relatively inexpensive tool. So, and I'll re-grease this, clean this. I cleaned it up. I left some of that grease on. We're going to re-grease it before we put it all back together. But basically we just drop it on and then sort of hammer it in place. And looks like we're flush. Give it a couple more knocks, but I think that's it. So brace in place. Got everything tightened back up, cleaned up. Now I'm going to make sure I'm down tight. And I'm gonna score myself a line. Now, the important thing is going to be, I'm going to use this pipe cutter, which I know is not the actual preferred way. I've got to drop this down a millimeter or so, right? Again, I hold this up. I don't want to be too low. I want to have some clamping force, but I want it low enough that when I hit that top cap in the star-fangled nut, I'm yanking everything up tight and setting this load on my headset. If you cut that off flush, then there's no way to take any of that play out. So remember that. So this is my mark. I'm actually going to need to come in just a bit. And again, those pipe cutters are notorious for walking. Worst case scenario, if I do end up too flush, as that previous headset had, we can set a small spacer on top. And again, if you wanted to cut it flush, you could do that and just use a spacer on top and then put your top nut or your top cap right there as well. So that is an option if you do end up cutting it flush, which is why I like to have a fair amount of these spacers. Okay, so I started walking this around. My mark's right here. This is walking a little bit, which is why it's typically not recommended to do this with the pipe cutter. And I'll either fast forward this or we'll edit this down, but tighten, walk it around. For this video, made better sense to try this. I've been meaning to try this, and easier than to film than you know, normally, as I said, you would set a guide and then use a hacksaw. But although this is walking a little bit, it's not terrible. And then once I get that groove set, she's not gonna walk, which it is now. It's set in there, so it moved a little bit the first couple of rotations. So just keep it tight, walk it around. It looks like it's making a decent cut. Oh, there we go, cutting through. Take a file and deburr that a little bit, but that's the important part is the inside stayed nice and clean. Let's mount that star-fangled nut. So let's get a metal rasp and let's clean that up a little bit. Okay, so a reason to do this outside or don't do this over your fine carpet, I guess is what we'll say. So this is a round, I want a round rasp, because again, I don't want to cut myself, but I want to make sure the inside in particular is clean all the way around, because we're going to have to set that star nut down inside of here. I think that's probably good. I'm going to get this all cleaned off, get all this metal shavings, clean my hand. I want to make sure I don't get metal shavings in this before I'll re-grease this, clean this out, and make sure I get rid of all of that. So again, first time using this tool for me. So she started, but I guess we got to go until we're all the way flush here. And come up and get a, there we go. Tried to do it on my down low. I'd say we're in. So let's pull this off, make sure. Oh yeah. So if you guys can see that or not, that's why I was concerned about that inside. Get that star nut set in there and set to the ideally right depth. Okay, so everything cleaned up, re-greased. I didn't bore you guys with that. Make sure, again, clean off all of those filings. Everything's sort of set in place. You see here we've got a real nice, just enough of a gap. I got plenty of clamping, plenty of ability to put clamping force. So again, pretty impressed with how that relatively inexpensive pipe cutter did cutting this off. Again, we needed to clean it up a little bit with a file, so don't forget to do that, but not bad. We're gonna go with the classic, see if we focus in here on this, the Niner "You Are What You Drink" top cap. So let's get that in place, and we'll get it loosely snugged up, and then start putting everything back. I will put the bike down on the ground, and I want to cycle the forks before I really go to town and make sure that that headset's all nice and tight. But let's get it so we're lined up and she's not falling apart on us. So put this down. Let's go ahead and cycle this a few times. I have not set the air, so we're going to cycle this. Let's see if I can do this. You guys seen, and then take this pinch bolt, which was just a little loose, and let's set her in place. Fox says once you set it, you're good. So let's see, put it on the torque, click click, good. So that's the float set in the float, on the float. Let's make sure now. I went ahead and set this up. Let's make sure we're looking straight. Looks like it. And again, as I mentioned on this, you know, we've got four. I still need to tighten this down, but you'll see what I'm going to do is go from here to here, here to here, however we do this. But let's make sure. And again, this is pretty tight, but here, let's cross over. That's a little play, and there we go. I think we're pretty good. I went ahead on the top cap. Let's go to 5 mil. Let's make sure we're tight all the way. So now we're tight on that top cap. Let's go to 4 mil, and then we will just make sure that we are setting these in. All right, that looks good. Last step with this "You Are What You Drink," most important step perhaps. This is actually off of water. A lot of water, but let's go ahead and well, shoot, let's try this again, one-handed. There we go. You are what you drink. Cover that up. So there we go. Everything's set well. We're not binding. I'll go in and set up the fork now and get some rides in, but there you have it. Setting up the brand new 2021 Fox 38 Performance Elite with the new grip 2 on the 2021 Commencal Meta AM 29. So excited to get out and try that, and we'll come back and we'll talk you through how we think we does. I'll tighten everything up a little bit, ride it around, but that'll be it for this one. Thanks a lot, guys, and see you later.